that I am here in sunny South Florida, and it is noon for me. So wherever you are, thank you so much for dedicating your most valuable asset, your time. Thank you, Melody, for putting this incredible experience on. Dear friend Lauren, thank you for introducing me to this incredible organization where you guys are supporting each other so profoundly. And Brianna, amazing. And Bri, this is incredible what she's done. Let's give all of them a hand. And of course, maybe if the shake mode could also act as a hand clapping and we could get some feedback on that. Now, before we begin, I have a story to tell. And the three main things in the idea of emotional mastery through any challenge is understanding these three pillars of transformation. And I want to acknowledge you because if you're here right now, here's what we know. We know that you've been through, I don't want to curse, so you've been through hell though. You, your families, if you are dealing with this directly or indirectly through a loved one, I get it. You are going through incredible challenges. Not to mention, we add this collective challenge we're all going through, throw in a pandemic, and it's a recipe for all sorts of interesting experiences and conversations we could have. So we have these three pillars of transformation that I would like you to just kind of think about as we go through this weekend and how we can take on this experience and use this as part of our continued transformation. The first pillar of transformation is our state, right? And our emotional state. And there are, of course, incredible amounts of states you've been through intensely during all of this. There have been incredible highs and incredible lows, I understand. Next is strategy, and what you're here as well is learning strategies from professionals, from experts, and from each other. Hey, how did this work for you? How did that? Here's a thing that I tried. Here's something else that didn't work or might work for you. But this is an opportunity to share your effective strategies, and we all have them in different areas of our life. And then the last pillar is story. And that's the story we tell ourselves. That's the story that we're writing. And when this is all done for each of us at the end of our days, no matter when that is, what are we going to have a collection of? We're going to have a collection of stories. And the question is with the role that we're playing in that story. And we'll dive deeper into that. And I know Heidi's going to touch upon that tomorrow. And you're so blessed to have such an incredible group of people here with you to share their stories. Because that's how we grow. That's how we bond. That's how we transform. But I'd like to tell you a story to maybe ruminate on as we're going through life. See, one day there was these two monks. It was the master monk and the apprentice monk. And they're doing their monthly duties or just hanging out, doing their thing, traveling. And the master is teaching his young apprentice how to be a very powerful monk. And they come along to a riverbank. And on the one side of the riverbank, there's this woman. And this woman is stuck. She's like, I'm lost. I'm stuck here on this side, and I know that I need to get on the other side of the river, but there's not a bridge for miles, and I'm stuck. I'm lost. I'm just everything is just I'm a wreck. So the master monk says, "Oh, no problem, my young friend. Let us help you." And he picks up the woman, puts her over his head, and then continues to walk through the river, bringing the woman to the other side, and the apprentice followed them. They get to the other side, and the monk places the woman down and says, "Have a blessed day. Godspeed on your journey." And of course, she's so happy, and she goes off on her way. And the apprentice is upset, a little bit upset. And maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you've met somebody or someone you care about deeply, And you may ask them, you can tell there's something not right. And you say, hey, what's the matter? Is something wrong? Like, no, I'm fine. Like, okay. Or maybe they're pretending, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Right. And you could tell through their body language, through their tone, all that. We'll get into this, that something's not quite right. And the master had asked a few times throughout the day, said, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Finally, they get to camp and they're about to finish up their evening. And the master finally says to the apprentice, says, my son, clearly something has been bothering you all day. And I've given you ample opportunities to share what's been going on. And we have this final edict. This is our last opportunity. This edict as a monk is not to go to bed incomplete. We don't want to be harboring anything when we go to bed here. So, please, my son, let me give you this last opportunity to share what's going on. The apprentice sits there for a moment and says, Master, I got to tell you, yeah, something's been bothering me. It's been bothering me all day. We have this edict that we don't touch women. We don't touch women. And this morning, 10 hours ago, you picked up a woman. You touched a woman. It's been bothering me. Monk says, my son, I put her down 10 hours ago. Have you been carrying her all day? So the message here is that things are going to happen, and things may happen and stay happened. But what we're going to get into in this conversation this morning, how we manage it, what do we do with that information? Are we unable to take new steps, to make new decisions, to be able to access resources because we're still stuck holding on to something? And it could be just holding on to it energetically, holding on to the anger, the resentment, the frustration, the fear. I can relate to you. I mean, obviously, I love our friend Lauren, and I know what she's going through. So ergo, I know what you have all been going through on many levels, and I was blessed to be able to speak and connect in person last year. And fortunately, we're able to create this way in lieu of getting together in person. And I see what you've been through. I hear it. I understand it. I felt it. And I can also see it happening in other areas and experience it. My mother, her husband is sadly in a nursing home. It's actually in New York, was one of the hotbeds of the whole challenge with COVID and all of that. And some of the things, I think I may have shared this last time, but here's when they first got married. She said she did not want to be a caretaker. She's like, I do not want to be a caretaker. He wasn't taking great care of himself. I do not want to be a caretaker. Do not want to be a caretaker. And ended up, she's now a caretaker, but she laments about how if only he didn't have the stroke, if only he had done this. Now I have to, I can't live my life. I have to go to the nursing home. I have to pay for aids, all of these challenges. And she gets stuck in the story. And she has a difficult time living her life and being the best version of her, even for him, because she's still stuck holding on to something that she can't change, but she can change her relationship with it. So that's what we're going to talk about. Real quickly here, let's think about the first pillar, state, our emotional state, and why this at the fundamental is so important. When I talked with the title of this was managing our emotions during stressful times. And I'm not sure literally, this is like, what else could happen? Right. I think I remember the couple of while ago, there was that meme where it was, the pandemic and then the only time two hurricanes could actually come together. And it was a disaster for people. But I'd like you to just quickly imagine for a moment we have our state, our emotional state. And here's what's interesting about our emotional state. We do it, right? It doesn't happen to us. We do our state. So we do angry, we do fear, we do frustration, we do all of that. It doesn't happen to us. And imagine for a moment, you can think in these terms on how powerful this is. Imagine you could have any gas-powered car in the world. Money's no object. And for me, a McLaren or a Bugatti or something really exotic and crazy would be a cool choice for me. So imagine you had this car, maybe it's a Ferrari, something that, a Lamborghini, and you need gas, you need fuel. Would you pull up to Steve's Bait and Tackle and consignment shop that happens to have 30-year-old 84 octane gas that's been sitting there in the tank, aging and getting just falling apart and just being degradation and so forth? And the answer for most people is no way. I'd never put that in my car. And the obvious answer as to why not is because if I did, it would not run well. It might even cause permanent damage. So our emotions are our fuel for our life. So acting out of anger, acting out of fear, frustration, bitterness, resentment is the same as putting crap gas in our supercar. We don't run well. We end up making some poor decisions. We could do some permanent damage. So let's now look at that. If that makes sense, type into the chat window if that makes sense. If you're hearing me and you go, you know what? I get that. And at least metaphorically, I understand, because that, let me hit the chat window here because am I in the general chat? I'm not sure. Let me get my thing working here. There we go. There's my mouse. Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So let's now think in those terms. Like, how do we then, if that's true, and we are consciously choosing that we can put energy in ourselves, let's talk about how we could do that so that we could be more effective, that we could actually be operating at optimum levels, getting the best results as much as we possibly can. So we imagine this triangle. We call this the Behavioral Trinity, and it looks like it's backwards. All right, so I'm going to try and I'll just use I'll just use the one letter and I'll write it backwards. So the first thing that all states have, I can't see with the mic in front of the way, starts with a P, is our physiology. All right, so what is physiology? Physiology is the way we use our bodies. So what I'd like you to do for a moment is just imagine let's try it out. Let's try it out. And I can't see you, but I'm going to imagine I can see you. So let's really own this for a minute. What I'd like you to do is sit up nice and straight. Oh, it's not backwards for you. Oh, good. Just for me. So now it is, right? So let me fix that. And that's physiology. So right, yeah, that's better. Chicken scratch is better. Okay, so sit up nice and straight. Sit up nice and straight right now. Shake it off a little bit. If you're sitting, stay, or you can even try standing. But sit up nice and straight. Put your shoulders back. Okay, look up in the sky. I can see you. I can see you. Look up in the sky and put a big, huge smile on your face while you're breathing deep. So take nice, big, deep diaphragmatic breaths, shoulders back, standing or sitting tall, big smile on your face, breathing deep. All right. Now, while you're sitting there, now go ahead, get depressed. No, keep your shoulders back, keep them back. Keep looking up in the sky. Keep smiling. That's right. Get depressed while your shoulders are back, while you're breathing deep, while you're smiling. Put in your chat window if you were able to do that. Were you able to get depressed, really depressed, with your shoulders back, breathing deep, smiling, looking up? And what's crazy is sometimes when we're feeling down, when we're feeling stress, when we're feeling fear, when we're feeling pain, when we're feeling any of that, the first and easiest thing we could do is radically change our bodies. Do whatever it takes. Go for a walk, sit up straight, do a couple of jumping jacks, do some sit-ups, do anything to interrupt how your body's feeling, and then go, okay, well, this is, if I want to feel strong and confident, how would I sit? How would I stand? How would I breathe? How would I speak? Would I be speaking quietly? Or would I be speaking with certainty, with confidence? And we'll get to that in a moment, but imagine just how that works out in our bodies. And I know it's tough because sometimes we get in situations where maybe we're getting medication and things of that nature. So that's even why it's more important. Yeah, move a muscle, change a thought. No, but I need to stand up more. Yeah, right? So here's the deal. Even if, and I get it, for some of you, I get it, you're going through situations where you may be being put on medications and so forth, and that does change your physiology, which may mean you need to master this even more as an opportunity. Because when you think of someone depressed, usually where are their shoulders? Are they moving fast or slow? Where are they looking? How are they breathing? And we all come from different walks of life, but we could all probably agree that someone who's depressed or sad or maybe even anxiety ridden, they're very likely going to have their shoulders down. They're going to be breathing shallowly. They're going to be moving slow. They're going to be potentially so anxious that they're almost stuck. So you interrupt that pattern, do everything you can to interrupt what's going on in your body, and it'll automatically change how you're feeling, and then consciously choose the state that you want to be in and put your body into that first. And that's just step one. Now, here's what's interesting. The other thing that, in order for you and I to experience anything, we also have to focus on something. Right? Think about it. When you or I are angry, if you think about something, there's even a word for it. When someone is angry, what do? They're so mad that they see. See it, someone. Put your body. There you go. You see red. Right? That's what most people go, oh, I'm so angry, I see red, or the green monster of jealousy. So already some visual components are coming in there, but also we make images of whatever we're experiencing. We make the image of it. Think about it. When you're pissed off, when you're angry, you make whatever's going on, you make an image of that. You make it really big. You make it really bright. You make yourself full on in it, and you experience it even more. So I'll prove it. Let's have some fun here. Think of something that's, let's just start with mildly irritating. Just something mildly irritating right now. We don't want to go with something crazy, but just something that bothers you a little bit, okay? Now, close your eyes. Close your eyes. See it in your mind's eye. Imagine it. Now make it bigger. Make that image of whatever's irritating you, make it even bigger. Make it brighter. Put yourself right in it. Make it louder. Make the whole experience more vivid. And what's your relationship with that? Does that make it better or worse? Now, if I was seeing you right now, I'd see you all nodding your head going, oh, it's worse. This sucks. Stop it. So great. Now, take that. Make it really small. Take that same image and shrink it down. Make it go really far away. Make it black and white. Make it dull and out of focus. What's your relationship with it now? When we take these images and we mess with them, we play with them, this is an opportunity where we can take it and make it smaller, make it less annoying, make it less frustrating. And it gives us the power over it. This is how we take control. This is about conscious emotional mastery, strategic emotional mastery. If something is upsetting you, notice, how am I making those pictures? How big am I making them? Let me mess with them. Let me make it smaller. Let me mess with the dials, take the colors, make them all weird, make them black and white. And your relationship to that experience starts to decrease in intensity. And for something that is upsetting, powerful tool. And yet, if it's something that brings you joy, what if you made those pictures really big? What if you made the things that made you happy, made you feel amazing? What if you made those images really big? Put yourself right in there. Made the colors really bright. Wouldn't that make every time you felt joy, love, laughter, wouldn't that make that so much more enjoyable, so much more real? And these are choices that we make. And sometimes we don't realize that we've hypnotized ourselves into experiencing pain, into experiencing anger, fear, frustration. And we get it in our body. It gets it in our neurology. And we don't even realize we've been habitually walking around slowly. We've been habitually imagining the worst possible outcome. We've been habitually talking to people and getting their model of the world. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because how do you change your focus? It's with questions. And that's the last piece of this first half. Third part of the behavioral trinity is our language. We guide our focus through the questions we ask. As we ask questions, right? It's in the good book, right? Seek and ye shall find. If you're looking for trouble, you'll find it. I'll give you a great example on that, and then we'll go over to the language. Speaking of cars, have you ever purchased a car that's new to you? And when you purchased it, you were like, you know what? This is good. This is cool. Nobody's got one of these. This is like really cool and interesting. And maybe it was not only the car itself, but maybe it had a really cool color or something. And could be a car, or maybe you bought a bag or a pair of shoes or a watch or a belt or something that you were like, this is cool. No one's got one. I'm so unique. And then you drive off the lot, you walk out of the store, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. All of a sudden, like, what, was there a sale? How come I'm noticing, like, what happened? Are there more of them? And the answer is no. But what you've done is you've activated a part of your brain called the RAS, the reticular activator system, which basically means that when you put it in your thoughts, you start focusing on it. Now you're going to start finding it. You will just start noticing it, right? Think about it. When you're angry, what else pisses you off? Uh-oh. You lost me? Am I back? I hope I'm back. You still got me? Okay. Sorry, I've been having internet issues. Cool. Thank you. So what happens is that when we start conditioning our mind to start focusing on what we want rather than what we don't want, when we start focusing on our images, seek and ye shall find, and then our language, ask and ye shall receive. What kind of questions do you find yourself asking habitually, consistently? Are you asking questions like, why did this have to happen to me? Why, God? Are those the kind of questions you're asking to impact your focus? Because our brains are computers. It's really all they are. It's just this program running all the time. So what happens is our brain asks a question. Why am I so stupid? So now that question presupposes A, that I'm stupid, and B, there's a reason why. So if I've now acknowledged stupidity, and that there is a reason, my brain is going to look for those reasons. Where does this show up? In our day-to-day experience, when we're dealing with challenges, we're dealing with pain. You know, I know what you're going through, and I'm not suggesting that you are doing anything like this. I'm suggesting that it's possible that sometimes our questions lead us down roads in situations there's nothing we could do it about anyway. You know, if you're dealing with this directly, can't change it. You can change how you respond, what you do about it, your relationship with it. So to ask why, it's not helpful. It's not helpful. And to also, what declarations are we making in relationship to those conversations? Right? Think about it. What's the relationship with it? So if it's not the question, why did this happen to me, or that, we could be saying how wrong it is. I've been wrong. This should have never happened. God must hate me. I must have done something wrong to deserve this. Again, notice the language that we're habitually either declaring or asking. And notice some of the habitual words that we use. So let me, as an example, is there a difference between irritated and pissed? A little or a lot? I mean, it's like two different experiences, right? If someone's irritated, you go, that was irritating. You can do something about it. It's not incapacitating. It's like, all right, that's irritating. That's frustrating. When we're pissed, that's another level. Sometimes when people get pissed, when you and I get so angry that we're diving into that kind of language, oftentimes that is like putting the crap gas in our supercar. So what happens is that from that state, we may do some rash things. We may lash out, say things to other people, or worse, to ourselves, and start owning that. So it's important that we notice what are some of our habitual language, some habitual questions. When something happens, what is the other than conscious thought that's coming up? Is it anger or is it curiosity? Is it frustration or is it fascination? What is our relationship with our language and the experience that we're having? And what would happen if we acknowledged it and then decided we wanted to have a different experience, a different relationship? Now, these are powerful opportunities to harness what you and I have been given. God, universe, creator, divine intelligence, whatever language you want to use, has blessed us with something that pretty much levels the playing field for us all. And that is the freedom of choice. It's the freedom of choice. Now, we can't choose necessarily what happened or what happens. We can choose how we relate to it. We can choose what we do with our body, whatever situation you're in. We can choose what we do with our focus. We can choose how we speak, both internally and externally. We could choose the kinds of questions we ask. So if you had some homework, the homework I might suggest for you is a couple opportunities. Number one, take notice of what kind of emotions are you feeling on a regular basis. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to hallucinate you, like me, like everybody else right now. Besides all of the challenges you already had that you were dealing with, now we add this pandemic, this circus that we have going on here, this COVID circus, that everything you were experiencing before in many respects got into a pressure cooker, and it started to get even more challenging. That when you started to get stressed out, it was more stress. It was like, yeah, another thing, another obstacle. I can't travel. Here we are. I would much rather be doing this in person and connecting with everybody, but instead we can't. We're doing it virtually. I want to give a hug, but I can't. All of these things that maybe in the past, maybe some of your old tools that you had available to you have been slowed down or stopped because of these current conditions. Now more than ever, we need to dig deep and access our personal resources so that we could take care of ourselves, so we could take care of each other, so that we could be a shining light of possibility. Otherwise, we could dig into even deeper, more unresourceful patterns of our language focus and our physiology. Now, here's why this is so important. In life, nothing has any meaning except, see that? Yeah, that says meaning in chicken scratch. Nothing has any meaning except the meaning we give it. A thing happens. Doesn't mean anything. It happened. So, question. Depending on the state that you and I may be in when a thing happens, do you think it's going to have an impact on the meaning we give whatever just happened? Like when you're hanging out with your friends, let's say you're hanging out with your friends and maybe you have a relationship with a friend that you like to sort of noodle each other, maybe kind of do little digs, have a little fun with, right? Poke fun or whatever. And you're having a bad day. You're having a bad day and you're like, mother, yeah. And you're like, hey, why don't you shut up? Or you like, you want to fight? Right? Maybe it turns into something. But another time, you're feeling good. You're feeling confident. You're having a grand old day. You're feeling great, feeling tons of love. And the person does the exact same thing. And what do? You engage. You have fun. The banter goes. And it's like no big deal. The exact same conversation, exact same situation. Change our state, change our emotions during that. And we give it a whole new meaning. It then becomes congruent with the state we're in when it happens. So if we're frustrated and something happens, we're going to give it a meaning that is congruent with that frustration to be in line with, right? Because the strongest need in the human psychology is to be right, is to be congruent. So if we're angry and something happens, well, we got something else to be angry about. Why? Because seek and I shall find. Ask and I'll receive. And then we'll start using powerful language to get that even deeper in our neurology. So what we've shared is, and to start thinking about, if we were to start doing homework for you, what if you started taking notice? But there's those three things for now, right? Well, there's four things. That shift of, okay, if I'm feeling upset, let me write down like 5 things or more that I could do with my body that will interrupt whatever pattern I'm running. So if I'm feeling fearful, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling resentful, I'm feeling bitter, whatever that is, notice what that's doing in your body. Where is that in your body? And then do the opposite in that part of your body. Stretch, hands up, breathe deep. Do some push-up, a sit-up, go for a walk, jump up and down. Notice what are 5 things you could do with your focus? How are you focusing? Do you want to mess with the image? Can you play with it? Can you make it really small? Make it black and white? Make it like a Picasso painting? Or the language? Notice the words. What if I just shifted my language a little bit? I'll give you an example. Many moons ago, wasn't that long ago, Heidi and I, we worked in the treatment field, in the Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center. And we had a client there who had it was almost a nervous tic that she had. And it looked kind of like this. Whenever she spoke, she would be asking a question, she would stand up to share, or she would be talking about what's going on in her life. And she would be like, I don't know, like maybe, I don't know. I don't know, maybe I should do this, but I don't know, maybe I should do that. I don't know. She never knew what to do. She didn't have any certainty. She was being drug around the world by other people, which drove her nuts, which drove her to drink and all of that because she hadn't harnessed herself. I'm not saying anyone makes anyone drink and all that. It's a whole other conversation. Point is her relationship with herself, she had no certainty. So he said, stop using the words, I don't know, and choose, right? Make a decision. Say, yes, you're going to do something. No, you're going to do something else. Own it. Stand straight. We created some accountability partners. So anytime she started getting into that, oh, I don't know, right? With her body, with her language, with the way she spoke, I don't know, little question marks at everything. Within 30 days, she was able to re-present herself to what she could do, to what was possible for her, because now she didn't, I don't know, now she knew. It wasn't easy at first, but what happened is over time, when she caught herself and her friends caught her and she was held accountable and she started eliminating that behavior, those thoughts, and reconditioned herself to make decisions in whatever context. This is the same for every human being on the planet, whatever's going on. If we're always angry, if we're always feeling like, why me? If we're playing the victim card, all of this is our relationship. It's all going on up here and in here. Her life transformed simply by making that shift. So take notice. What meanings are we giving our experience right now? And since we can't change what happened, we can change what it means. We can change our relationship with the things we can't change. Can't change. You're dealing with this, whether it's personally or as a caregiver. There's nothing we can do to change what has happened, but we can change our relationship with what has happened and what is happening. And I'm not sure if it was Tony Robbins, my mentor, I'm not sure if it was Tony Robbins who came up with this or where he got it from, but it's powerful. It's a powerful question. And it's this: what if life didn't happen to you? What if it happens for you? What would that mean? What would that mean in your story as you share it? What difference in the world can you make when you come from a place of power, that this is a gift? Can't change it. It's a gift. Now I could create new purpose for my experience, a new story to play the victor, not the victim. To be the warrior, not the worrier. All of a sudden, everything starts changing. You start processing things differently because now when something happens, a thing happens, instead of going, why me? You can go, wow, I know there are other people who are dealing with this. Imagine how many more people I can help after I go through this. I'm going to move from survivor to thriver that way. Now I'm able to take this I can do nothing about and make it a gift. And then serve, which takes us to the third pillar, our story. You have a story to tell. Beautiful. Then, yeah, what if your story will one day be the survival guide for someone else? Imagine that purpose. What a gift. Because if we can't change what has happened and what is happening, we can't change that, but we can change our relationship. So now when we're doing, now we got new fuel. Now it's like, oh my gosh, yes, does it suck? Yeah. Am I happy about it? Hell no. I'm not saying be happy. I'm not saying be Pollyannic to the point of delusion. However, is it possible that we can move our needle further, that we can show up with more power, with more presence when we fuel our emotional tank, as it were, with high test gratitude, high test curiosity, high test love? Knowing that you've been through something that very few people have, which makes you so special and so unique, so powerfully qualified to help others in this very unique situation. And that's at a micro level. On a macro level, you can help people through any challenge. Because you've been through this. You know how to help people who have struggled. You know how to help people who have dealt with trauma, who have dealt with pain. You know how to help any survivor and help them convert into thrivers, to not live in that mode, to not be stuck as a label of survivor. Because everyone, you are all so much more. And I know Heidi's going to touch upon this much more deeply. This is a conversation to get you deep into the idea of how do I need, what state or what states are going to be so appropriate to get and give the most during this conference. State of curiosity, a state of gratitude, a state of service, a state of love, a state of fascination, a state of honor, a state of confidence. These are the game changers. Imagine, as you do that, how much more powerfully you're going to celebrate each other's successes, your own successes, vibrating on a higher level, clearing out all those toxins of negative thought. And it is scientifically proven that negative thoughts do provide negative neurochemicals, your biochemicals, all in your body. They get stuck in there. I mean, think about it. An ulcer. What is an ulcer? Someone's stressed out. Our bodies produce negativity. They actually manifest it in our bodies if we are keeping it. So when we let that go, when we let God and allow that to come in, that otherness, knowing that our meaning, our purpose is so much bigger than ourselves. And we may not know what that purpose is. And I'll share one last story regarding fear. One day, back in olden times, there was this castle and there was a giant. There was a giant who once a year he would come down for a sacrifice. He wanted a human sacrifice. And he would come down, big giant, big red hair, big beard and all that. And he'd come down and he'd bang on the castle door and he would say, "Send me a warrior so that I can kill them. Send me your bravest and I will kill them." And of course, they're all freaking out. So one guy comes out and he's got his sword. And what does the monster do? He goes in there and squishes him, kills him, takes him apart and eats him. And this happens every year, year after year. And one day there's a prince who's just kind of doing his princely thing. He's like learning about all the other neighbors of his other kingdoms. And he's at this castle, in this other kingdom. And he hears a big banging at the door. And he's like, "Well, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh man, it's the stupid giant again." And he's like, "What giant?" Like, "You don't know about the giant?" And he's like, "No, I don't know anything about this." He goes, "Well, this big giant, he comes down once a year. He comes down here, and if we don't send him our bravest, and it's for him to kill, he's going to destroy the whole castle. He's going to destroy us all." And he goes, "All right, so what happens?" He goes, "Well, we send someone out there, and they always get killed." And he's like, let me go. Come on, let me see this. I'll take care of it. Hold on." And now he's thinking too. He's thinking bigger. He's like, "I can, if I win this, I can get the castle, this new kingdom." So he opens a door, takes out his sword, and he starts charging. He's charging the guy. He didn't show up like the guy like that. He's like, "Yeah, come on, let's take this." Starts running, and he's running down towards the giant. And as he's running, the giant starts shrinking, getting smaller and smaller and smaller, till finally he gets up to the giant. He stabs the giant in the heart. And then he's like, "The heck? What gives?" He's like to the giant, he's like, "Who are you? What's your name?" And with the giant's last breath, he utters, "My name is fear." All of these experiences that we have within us to overcome. We all have moments of fear, and oftentimes appropriate, right? You're going to jump out of a plane, better have a little fear if you don't have a parachute. And that fear will make sure you've got one. And sometimes we may have fear that all we need to do is step up to it and realize that that fear only survives when we feed it. So with that being said, I love you for who you are and who you aren't. I know I have only a couple seconds. Please email me. I know Melody has information for you. I really need to talk to you fiercely to help others. Amen, Lauren. I didn't have any of my information up here, but you can Doug at revolutionarygrowth.com, urockspeaking.com if you want to speak, and freedomhack. We'll talk about our Freedom Hack. So thank you so much. I have multiple things going on today, so I'm going to try and be as present as possible. But Lauren has my contact info, and I am blessed and honored to have served you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. You were incredible. Put some stuff in the chat. Thank you. I'm so glad we were able to meet, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future, and I can't wait to see Heidi's presentation tomorrow.
Oh, you guys are so blessed. Thank you so much. I'll be doing my best to come in and out from this, but love you all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So guys, we are heading into our 10-minute break. So we are going to talk a little bit about what's happening next. I'd love for you guys to drop some things in the chat. What did you learn? What did you love? What are some things that you took away that were just incredible to have during this session? Please do that in Remo here. And of course, you can put information in the chat that you loved. And you know, not everybody's on yet, but they'll be sorry that they weren't. It was fantastic. So a couple other things we've got here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if you haven't yet, make sure that you download the ACIS, I Believe 2020 Survivorship Seminar app in Socio. You can do it through your Apple Store or Google Play. And of course, you can scan this QR code. If you want to screenshot this, I'll give you a 3, 2, 1. Get your screenshot in, and it'll have information about attendees, the agenda. Once you download that Socio app, all you have to do is search for ACIS, and you can find Doug's information there. You'll get to read a little bit more about Heidi in the presentation she's going to open with. And then we want to introduce you to our next speakers. They're going to be coming in just a few minutes. They'll be back here at 1 o'clock. We're going to have Shantae Pemberton with Blue Zones Project, Southwest Florida, and she's going to be talking about nutrition and fitness. And then we're also going to have Bob Sonnenberg, Wendy Olson, and Rick Hart. They're going to be talking about visual aids and low vision tech. And so we're going to be right back here at 1 o'clock. If you need to go to track 2, you're going to go to the Remo app. And on the left, the Remo platform, we go to table view here. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a small tile that says click here for track 2. You're going to click on that tile, and it's going to prompt you to go to the other environment, and it'll be awesome. It's very simple. If you have any questions or any issues getting into that, please let our event support know. We'll be back here at 1 o'clock.